What is up guys, welcome back to the channel. You guys know there are hundreds of free-to-play games releasing every single month, and at the same time there are a lot of free-to-play games either dying, dead or completely shut down for many different reasons. So yeah, today's video is a bit of a different topic, which is about some of the awesome free-to-play games that have released over the years, but unfortunately right now these games having very low player numbers or completely dead or shut down, and you wish you could play these games in 2023. And also guys, please let me know down below if you had the chance to try out these awesome free-to-play games back in the day. So without further ado guys, let's get right into it. Alright guys, first of all we got a game called Valgrave Immortal Plains. It's a super fun free-to-play online multiplayer battle royale game which heavily focuses on magic, spell combos and also melee combat. The game initial release way back in early 2020. It was actually a super fun battle royale game which I actually spent decent amount of time playing. The game had a very fun gameplay mechanics, very simple, very easy to understand, and also had a very unique art style which is pretty cool even to this date, but it's pretty sad to see there is nothing going on with the game right now. I mean, pretty much nobody playing the game. The game is still available on Steam guys, if you wanna just go ahead and download and give it a try, but I mean technically nobody playing. I don't know the servers are still up, and they haven't really updated the game recently on Steam or haven't really mentioned anything regarding shutting down the game or shutting down the servers, but basically pretty much nothing happened with the game. I think the developers are kinda abandoned this game, which is really sad to see. Honestly, it was a pretty fun game. Also guys, let me know down below if you had the chance to try out the game yourself back in the day. Anyway, let's move into the next one. Next up, we probably got my favorite game from this list, and the game I spend most of my time with, and that is the Totally Accurate Battlegrounds. This is a game I always recommend you guys to try out. It was a super fun free-to-play multiplayer battle royale game which is very similar to a game like PUBG, but with a very fun art style and a very goofy physics mechanics, which is absolutely hilarious. When I was doing some research for this video, I could not believe this game right now having this many limited player numbers. I mean less than 20 players, which is extremely low, and I couldn't understand the reason behind it. And afterward I did some digging on their Steam page and on their blog post as well, and it seems like right now the game servers are going on a massive DDoS attack, which is kind of a security breach and ultimately kick players out of the game, which is extremely unfortunate event for this game, and that is the main reason why this game having this many low player numbers. But developers are also mentioning they are right now working on a fix for this issue, and also they have no plans to shut down servers or anything, so which is a great news, and I hope they will come out with a fix very soon. And I honestly couldn't understand the reason why someone doing such a thing for a small game that having a very small community to begin with, but I sincerely hope that the developers will come out with a fix very soon. Alright, next up we got a game called 9 to 5. I honestly don't know you guys remember this game. I mentioned this game a couple of times in my channel. It was actually a pretty interesting title, but unfortunately the game was officially shut down earlier this year, which is disappointing. 9 to 5 is actually a pretty interesting game. It was a team-based multiplayer first-person shooter, which is actually 3 versus 3 versus 3, which means total of 9 players play against each other in 3 teams. Very different concept compared to most of the first-person shooters available on these days, but it's not that uncommon to see these type of concept nowadays coming back into the scene. But unfortunately the devs have decided to completely shut down the development of this game back in September 2022, and after a few months they officially shut down all servers back in January this year. I did play the game back in the day, but I wasn't really into it due to all the bugs and clunky gunplay, but with some update the game could have been better, but unfortunately it didn't happen. Anyway guys, let me know down below if you have any experience with the game. Definitely share down in the comment section. And another game that is unfortunately currently going on through the same situation, and that is the Super People 2. And I believe most of you guys remember this game. It was a super high battle royale game, very similar to PUBG, but with a class system and abilities and skills. It was an extremely popular game back in the closed beta stage. I remember playing the beta. A lot of people who play PUBG was really interested about this game, and honestly the game received a lot of positive feedbacks. And then after that the game came into the early access stage on Steam, and they renamed this game as Super People 2, but the popularity was very much declining and the player numbers was losing rapidly, and the developers ultimately decided to shut down the early access version of this game back in May 2023, which is very recent and honestly pretty disappointing. And they also mentioned in their blog post the reason why they shut down this game is basically because the rapid declining of the player numbers because of the battle royale nature of this game. It was really hard to keep up with the matchmaking time and the servers, and the current player numbers was pretty low to a point where the early access is no longer longer continued. But the game is still available on Steam. You can definitely download and give it a try, but the player numbers are very low. Definitely keep that in mind. The servers are still up until the August of 2023, and after that the servers are going to shut down in pretty much few weeks time. I mean, this is probably the reason why most of the battle royale games nowadays have bots in their game. Games like PUBG and Fortnite. I mean, this is basically to cut down the matchmaking time and make it more convenient for the current player base. I mean, I'm not a big fan of having bots in the battle royale game, but nowadays it seems to me is a must-have feature in any battle royale game, especially if you have a declining player numbers. I mean, it's pretty sad situation. Anyway guys, let's move to the next one. Next up, we got another battle royale game which was actually available to play for a very brief time, and that is a game called Code 2040. And I know most of you guys don't even heard about this game. It was a free-to-play multiplayer battle royale game which was heavily focused on supernatural abilities and sci-fi element, and the game was initially released back in early 2021, and I actually did a video and a cover-up and a full review of this game back in 2021. But overall the game had some issues. It did not receive as much as they would expect, and after 6 months later the developers decided to completely shut down the project. And another free-to-play fun first-person shooter that I used to play a lot back in the day, and that is the Line of Sight. And the game is still available on Steam. You can still download and play the game, but the current player numbers is extremely low, even less than 50 players. But it was a really fun experience, and actually this game can run on any potato PC, which makes it really great alternative to something like Call of Duty, and attract a lot of the casual player base, especially people who like to play more of an arcade style first-person shooters. Anyway guys, the last update for this game was happened way back in end of 2019, which means for the last 4 years this game haven't received any new updates. But technically you can download and still play the game, but I honestly don't know how the experience is going to be like. And finally, we gotta talk about a game that is pretty popular and probably most of you guys already know, and that is this Cycle Frontier. And I'm honestly quite shocked to hear that they're going to shut down this game by the end of this year, which is honestly a very disappointing news, because there is not a lot of free-to-play extraction shooters out there that have the gameplay mechanics of the Cycle Frontier. It's a one-of-a-kind, very unique experience. Probably not for everyone, but it's definitely a unique first-person shooter. The game is currently going on through its season 3, and honestly the player numbers are still pretty popular right now, having close to like 1000 daily concurrent players, which is really good for a free-to-play game on Steam. But unfortunately, on their recent blog post on their Steam page, the developers have mentioned after all these seasons they are mentioning that the game is financially not viable to keep up, and they're going to shut down all the servers by the September 2023. I mean, it's pretty disappointing news, but it's kind of the sad reality of most free-to-play games. If a game is popular and fun like Fortnite, it's going to generate millions and millions of dollars, but if a game is having pretty average and low player numbers, and it's basically not viable to keep up the servers, and it's better that they move on to a new project. It's definitely not a good experience when it comes to players, but the decision is understandable. Nevertheless, the game is still available on Steam and also on Epic Games Store. You can definitely download and give it a try. And also, if you already played any of these games and if you have any experience with the game that I mentioned before, definitely let us know down in the comment section as well. As always guys, if you enjoyed the video so far, please make sure to drop a like and also subscribe, because we cover tons of free-to-play games on this channel. I'll catch you guys soon in my next video. Stay safe.